New York Toy Fair 2020. That just happened. We want to talk about it. I'm Ryno.
I'm Ken.
And we are the Podcast Rangers.
Rangers.
Okay, you're still not good at this. Okay. And welcome to the show. I am Ryno, joined always as by my co-host Ken.
I'm Ken.
And we are here to talk about the 2020 Toy Fair that happened in New York not too long ago. This might be old news for some, but we just feel like we want to talk about some stuff because Hasbro had a presence there. I feel like a pretty hefty presence.
They had a really long conference.
And they announced some interesting things, legacy line stuff as well as... some other things.
Yeah.
So let's just dive right in. The big announcement here was Wave 5 of the Legacy Lightning Collection here. Do you want to tell us what figures we had that had come out?
Sure. So they announced that they're going to do Zeo Gold, but with the Tray of
Triforia?
Yep. That head versus the Jason head that was in the SD.
That was the SDC. Yeah, I know. So mad I didn't get that.
Right, so now you have a chance to get the Gold Ranger. But also Mighty Morphin Blue, so you get Billy. Time Force Red, which I know you're super stoked about.
Mm-hmm. I've been waiting for that red, but you know what? Where's my Jan?
And then the one I'm stoked about is Ranger Slayer.
Yes. Yeah. That was the one that pre-order for that was sold out the second it was available to
When it went on Amazon,
Pulse,
I was like, I got it.
Yeah. I did end up getting it on Amazon too.
So, just full clarification, any comic figure, I think I'm going to be way more excited about than just regular Power Ranger stuff because it's such a weird thing that A, they're doing, B, that they're kind of engaging to a certain extent. So Ranger Slayer, the Draken stuff from a prior wave, those are the ones I want to make sure I legit get. And I think the Drakon thing, I got the non-attending, was it Power Morphicon?
Mm-hmm. That was a Legacy.
I was like, I'm not going to this convention, but I want this figure, so I'm gonna pay for this, and they'll mail it to me. And that was the one that they messed up in a bad way.
Did you never get it?
No, I got it.
Oh, okay.
And I got it in the plastic case and everything. It was just I think a month after the fact.
Yeah. Well, yeah, that whole situation was super messed up.
So I have that, but I also pre-ordered the Hasbro version. Also to compare, but I don't know if I want to take out the Hasbro one or the Bandai one. Sorry. So that is Wave 5, and I also have the listings for the other stuff. But
well, there was a photo someone had made. Basically, they were like, okay, these are all the Legacy figures from all the seasons that have now been made. And I remember I saved it, so I was trying to find it really quick. We were talking. Oh, I did find it. Oh my goodness, good for me.
Are you going to show me or
no?
Save it for you.
Okay, so the Lightning Collection, the figures that are available and what seasons they're from so far. So we have figures that have come from Mighty Morphin Power Rangers.
I have a list.
Power Rangers Zeo, Power Rangers in Space, Lost Galaxy, Time Force now, Dino Thunder technically, SPD. Dino Charge and Beast Morphers. So in Mighty Morphin, we are now with this announcement. We have Jason, Billy. I'm sorry. Let me just say the colors: red, blue, pink, yellow, and then red with the shield, right? Mm-hmm. And then black with the shield and white, who was the first one. And then we've now had the announcement of the Rita figure. We have
the wedding set.
Yeah, the Putty was available as a 2-pack with the Fighting Spirit, which is the Dino Thunder one. The Goldar. We have Lord Zed,
exclusive,
Draken, and Ranger Slayer, who are listed as Mighty Morphin in this. But
you do have a Mighty Morphin Red without the shield, though. In Wave.
Yeah, that was the first thing. Okay, it's fine. He's out. He's Wave 4, yeah. Which has the one Jason head. The one with the gold shield, that was the part of the STC.
The Gold Ranger
2-pack one, right?
Yes.
Yeah. It's interesting. So Zach is really the only one who needs the basic. The Black Ranger needs the basic figure, yeah.
Which, I mean, considering they have a male body for the Mighty Morphin stuff, that will not be an issue, especially if they're just changing the arms and getting rid of the shield.
Well,
already
his
has
helmet's already done.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I wonder if they'll do that one with Adam's head or something like that.
Well, so I'm thinking since in the Power Rangers Zeo area we had a Zeo Blue. Rocky was the first released, who's out, and then Gold, the Jason, the SDC 2-pack, and now Trey of Triforia Gold Ranger. That way they're making it like, oh, well, it's not the same figure, so we did make it exclusive technically. I do also think that's a really interesting, like a nice deep cut there too for anybody that's not just a casual fan. You're like, oh wow, they actually made it the actual person who had the powers. Like, but what's interesting is the Rocky as Zeo 3, you can now put his head on the red body. So this is the first, I think he's technically the first figure that you can do the cross, like he was also this Ranger. Yeah.
I believe so, yeah.
I mean, because Tommy's head came with both his colors. So it's like you've had... So,
you just had one with scars and one without.
Yeah. So if they continue that route, I mean, I'm assuming eventually we'll get maybe... I think Adam will be a Zeo Green. And I think that's how Catherine's going to come out too. And that's obviously how Tanya will come out, I think. Well, Tanya could be Turbo. I think... I don't know. I think maybe they'll do the Tommy collection, so I think we'll get Turbo as the original, like the movie cast and the original season cast versus... Because basically everybody but Justin was in space after that.
Yes.
So those characters will definitely be there in space suits.
Well, so that would be like Carlos and such.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. Carlos,
TJ.
Oh my God. No. I mean, I remember TJ, but I was trying to think Ashley and Cassie, and yeah, those four.
Watch that
those
happen
four would be in space
in your head.
Yeah, sorry, I was saying Patricia J. Lee, and I was like, what is her character's name? But anyway, continuing on what else we already have available. In space, we have a red Psycho Ranger who was available as a 2-pack with the red Lost Galaxy Ranger. We have the blue Psycho Ranger. In Lost Galaxy, we have Magna Defender. Time Force, we have the Red Ranger. Dino Thunder was the green 2-pack with the putty and the Fighting Spirit Tommy because it's the silver-lined helmet. And then in SPD, we have red and Doggy Kruger, the Shadow Ranger. And then Dino Charge, we have red and gold. And then Beast Morphers, so far, we have red, blue, gold, and Blaze. So... it's interesting. Not a lot of female figures out yet.
So I think a lot of that they're taking the kind of information they have from the Hasbro line. So Hasbro as a company has a ton of different licenses, primarily the Marvel Legends stuff. They kind of know
Star Wars.
Yes, but primarily their moneymaker that they consistently do is Marvel Legends. Like they produce more Marvel Legends than they do anything else. So a lot of their knowledge comes from the fact that like the female figures they have on the books, and same with like Bandai America was very clear about the fact that like female figures don't sell.
Yeah,
collectors
they made too many of the pink legacy and like I think it was yellow space legacy.
I don't even know if they made too many. Is like they had like they evened out the box, and if people weren't buying it, like it was very evident that they weren't selling. So. Hasbro has a history of that, so they usually will pack one female character per box or like two female characters per box.
What's a nice show? What's nice is that Trini figures like sold out.
Yes,
everywhere, and that is a nightmare for me because I did not get on the pre-order like that, like an idiot. The one figure I'm like, oh, I really want this. So
I feel like the Ranger Slayer thing happened to you too. Like you were ordering.
Oh no, Ranger Slayer. I waited until the minute the clock struck 4, but I did not pay for the $50 for Hasbro Pulse Premium. So I think that sold out to them and retailers. But thank goodness Amazon was one of those.
I know
retailers,
Amazon had me in the clutch.
That's the only one I didn't order on Amazon on Hasbro. The rest I ordered from Hasbro. So,
it's interesting. So like I've been a supporter of Hasbro for a long time just because like I've been a Marvel fan. So them getting the license has been huge for me because I know kind of like what they generally will do, but also kind of like they include so much like alternate hands, alternate heads. Like the fact that they got the actor license to do a lot of these figures is insane. I think the only one that they don't have like Power Ranger wise is Magna Defender. Like they don't have an alternate head for him, right?
Yeah, but they said that it's because it's not Mike, it's the Magna Defender.
Right. So like that's
So I've also read that Hasbro has been, because people have been like, oh well, why doesn't the Red Ranger have Rocky and Jason's? And they were saying that these figures are based around a very specific time in the moment. So like people are saying, oh well, you're releasing a Rita is a 2-pack with Zed. Why do that? I already bought the Zed figure, and they're like, well, it's based around the wedding. And so that's why they're doing it. So you get the cake and you get this other stuff. And I mean, I think that's cool. And yeah, I do already have the Zed figure, which does kind of suck. But
that was like one I hunted for.
Well, and it's a beautiful figure. So I'm gonna have two. And I don't know, if somebody I know who doesn't have the other one, I might give it away. But that's why they're saying like, well, they chose Dino Thunder, or that's why, because the first 2-pack that was kind of a head scratcher was not the Green Ranger having the silver stripe. They were like, what the heck? Like and they were like, well, that's Fighting Spirit. It even says it on the box, Fighting Spirit. And I think that's cool because that's that specific episode. It was the Lost Galaxy with the red Psycho Ranger, where people were like, oh, they don't know what they're doing. They released the wrong Space Ranger, another season, and they were like, no, this is from the crossover episode when the Red Rangers fight each other, and I'm like, yeah, I knew that. And so it's kind of interesting now that we have a Time Force Red Ranger that was announced, and then we also got announced a Time Force comic graphic novel, right? And so I'm wondering if at SDC or somewhere we're going to get a pink Time Force Ranger.
So the thing that I posed to you prior to these announcements, I was like, I wonder if they're doing a lot of they're doing Dracon and they're doing this other stuff. I wonder if they're going to do
the Turtles.
Don't do that to me. So aside from my Power Ranger tattoo, I do have a Ninja Turtle tattoo. Ninja Turtles was my first love prior to Power Rangers, but I posed to you, Ryno. I was like, I wonder if we're going to get a lot of the comic figures. Like we have the Dracon. I wonder if we're going to get Ranger Slayer, and then we're going to get some sort of set with Jen, right? So the pink Time Force. That would make sense, right? You're getting characters that they're definitely leaning into the comic book stuff with some of these figures.
Well, I appreciate that. It's not just straight the show. Now they're doing 2 different comic book figures, and so now they're saying like, oh, well, we've got this other.
They're not strictly leaning into the people who are just like, oh, I love this stuff because I grew up with it, but they're also like the people who are currently supporting it by buying the comic books.
Well, it also makes it relevant too, where they're like, oh, well, you're going to read. We know that some of you will be out there and probably reading, who might have been nostalgic for Time Force, are going to then be reading a comic book about a story that continues that story, and you're going to want to reach out and find Time Force merchandise.
Right. And it's like, could you imagine, let's say 8 months ago, being like, yeah, you're going to get Time Force stuff and you're going to have it be relevant aside from the Shattered Grid stuff, right? Shattered Grid being the comic book that was around, that time a little bit earlier, that included all of the Power Ranger stuff.
Yeah.
So, and that was when Time Force came back in kind of a big way because it was covering.
It never left us. How dare you?
Well, it left everybody else.
I know. Jen was the big. She was on that cover where Tommy got deceased.
He got. So the fact that
turn your back for 1 second, you got a Saba in your back. What are you gonna do?
By yourself. So the fact that they're kind of like, all right, well, we're gonna have the red Time Force and we're gonna have Dracon. It's exciting to be a Power Ranger fan who has access to be able to buy toys, especially someone who is supporting the comics, because you're being engaged.
It's nice too because it's teetering that line of being like, we still have plenty of MMPR merchandise available for anybody because that is still the name that floats this brand. But it is also one of those things where I'm like, I like these steps outside of that brand because, there are people, I have friends who are younger than me who that's not their favorite version of the show.
Yes.
A lot of I do have a friend who was like, I live and breathe by Time Force, and they're like, yeah, I like Mighty Morphin Power Rangers because that was the original. I understand that, but they're like, when I was a kid, for me, the show I loved was Power Rangers Time Force, and I think Time Force is really one of those versions of the show though too, where it told Power Rangers, it took Power Rangers and told it in this completely new and different way. But it is also one of these like really solid beginning to end storylines that then I think was followed up beautifully with that crossover in Wild Force, even though I personally do not love Wild Force as a season.
The Charlie Brown suits?
No, that's Lost Galaxy. Wild Force is the, I'm going to stab my roommate. That guy. So I don't love Wild Force. I didn't like really. It was one of those shows like sometimes it's a chemistry thing or plot thing. I don't like that it was all about the Zords. There's a lot I didn't like, but it has some great episodes in it. It's got the first 10-year anniversary, so it's got the first really big team up, and the Wild Force Time Force crossover episode is some of the best of the show, and it really was cool because it really tied in Time Force and Wild Force together in this like amazing way, and it kind of finished up some of the storylines that you were missing, and now here we are years later getting some more closure to that storyline. So
we're about to do another anniversary.
Right. Well, the Dino Team Up is not an anniversary, it's just a team up. Yeah, it's not. Okay. It's just a team up to be a team up. Yeah, because the next anniversary is 30. We just had the 25th, so that Jason returning to Beast Morphers is not an anniversary thing. It's just because they had the footage and they were like, let's try real hard to bring back the original.
It's so stupid. Okay.
Why?
Because it like they could have saved it.
No, I don't want to save it. I want more of that stuff more often. The thing that blows my mind right now is like, why isn't there a show that's comprised entirely of past Rangers? Or like, why isn't it like 3 or 4 past Rangers with like 1 new Ranger? Why don't they do the in-space approach?
Like a Miami Vice?
4 previous Rangers with 1 new Ranger. You know, like, well, all these people they keep bringing back, and I'm like, why not just be like, hey, do you have it in you to be in a whole nother season? Do you want to be another? So this dinosaur season coming up again, this was another opportunity. Why not bring back other people? Not Tommy. I mean, you could see. I'm sure Jason David Frank would consider it, but like
he's 75.
Yeah, but like it like. You could try and bring back like the blue Dino Charge Ranger or Dino Thunder Ranger. You could bring back some of those Dino Charge kids. You know, some of them, like bring back some of these other Rangers. It also doesn't have to just be dinosaur teams. I want to see this celebration of the history of the show. And I have yet to see a version of the show where I get to see a team up. Like I want how they did the Once a Ranger, Always a Ranger team up. I want that to be an actual team of Power Rangers where they pick a bunch of different Rangers.
Yeah, they seemed in that season or in that episode, they seemed very comfortable with each other. They're just like, yeah, we're just doing this. Like they're their Spec Ops team. Like they're their Republic Commandos from Star Wars. Like they're the team that knows what they're doing and they've worked together previously. So like, why is there not just a team like that?
I get it too, where it's like you have to move to New Zealand and the filming and the stuff, so it's gonna be young. But some of the people I'm like, you could, if you use them sparingly, or they're like a 6th Ranger, take that Dino Thunder mold, bring back a classic Ranger more often, because clearly that's got to be a spike or something. And I don't know why it doesn't happen and why it hasn't been explored
Especially
more.
Because like Power Rangers above many other franchises, like, okay, so we're living in a time where nostalgia hits way harder than it does anywhere else. Like we're living in a time where like a Goofy movie is like huge, or you know, any other nostalgia tick is kind of like paramount. So Power Rangers above anything else could hit on that nostalgia trigger. So why not try to lean into that way more?
I honest to God, I think it has something to do with it being on Nickelodeon. I think there's kind of a reprimandum that they have to be a certain age now. But I'm like, you've seen that in the Disney era, in the Fox era, in every other era other than this, like Neo. I mean, we're not in the Neo Saban era anymore. We're in the Hasbro era. But Neo Saban started with Nickelodeon. I don't know if it's a requirement for that it can't be about young adults or something like that, and that doesn't make it a kid show anymore. But it's not even really a kid show. It's a good show for everybody. But
like, because so like, sorry, Ninja Turtle fan, but like Rob Paulson, original Raphael, right, voice actor, did the 2012 reboot series. He was Donatello. Now he's like the voice director of the Rise of TMNT, right? So it's not, and that's all handled by Nickelodeon at this point. So like, it's not like a thing where they're just like kind of hands off with being like, we can't go too far back with this stuff. Like they're all about like incorporating some semblance of nostalgia to a certain extent. So I feel like they might be open to it. It's just a matter of like how far are they willing to go with that? Like, I don't know if they're aware of how deep the kind of like fandom goes with this stuff.
Hey, it's also they're new to the game, and I think they're out there where like the Power Rangers Twitter right now, if you're not following it, is incredibly engaging and hilarious, and I think whoever is running that deserves all awards. So I think a toy collection is really kind of reaching out there and seeing like, well, who are we speaking to and what are we speaking to, and and now that this is we're finally moving past Saban, I think there are minds. I think the hope is like, okay, well, we can start to be fresh again, and it doesn't have to just be keep harping on that same model, because Power Rangers found its real success. It'll never be as popular as it was when it was the original, but that popularity, it was popular then. The reason why it still exists today is because it found the model for longevity. And it feels like it's afraid to embrace the longevity model again, and it's trying to rekindle something else, where I'm like, the whole thing is, if it's a new show every time, embrace that 100%. But I feel like we're off track here. So we talk about the Wave 5 figures that came out, but there was another announcement, another brand new sort of thing that we're getting for the first time out of a Legacy collection.
But I can't turn the page.
You're not turning the page?
Turn the page.
You turn your page.
Wash your hands.
Rocco's Modern Life.
So, I mean, there was the lack of Zords, but then they announced like some sort of Zord thing.
Well, there's that. Like it. They said it wasn't aimed for kids. This isn't necessarily collectors. They said it wasn't a part of the collector line, but it's going to have.
Can I? Your text message to me was, this says it's aimed at kids, but it looks better than the thing, and I want it.
Well, yeah, that's the thing. It's the classic Mighty Morphin Power Rangers Megazord. And I believe the Tyrannosaurus is sold separately, and then the other two are in 2-packs.
Yes.
And they are, I couldn't do the math.
$14.99. No, you could not do the
$14.99
a piece. So all three sets are $14.99 each. So the total is how much?
$45.
There you go.
Yes, I thought it was like 70.
Basic math.
Like, no. But it, to me, the Zords, yes, the quality of like the plastic of it is not as like shiny as it looks in the original, but it's when the Megazord is assembled, I think the Megazord looks better than it does
bigger,
in the Legacy or the Legacy and the original. I don't know.
So there was that 2012. Is it 2012 that was released, or 2010?
2010, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
So like I bought that Megazord. I have that Megazord.
That's. Oh, okay. That's the Megazord that's kind of like this one.
It's like chunky.
Yeah,
and
it's not the metal
It was like
one. It's pre-Legacy.
Pre-Legacy, they were just like, let's see.
Yeah, they tried to remake the
They were like,
mold.
what idiots want this? And I was like, me. So I bought that, but this looks better than that. Like each of those individual figures looks like it has way more like functionality, way more like kind of posability. It's almost similar to like the Voltron stuff that they released within the last few years, where they're just like, we're going to have different tiers of this. We're going to have like ones that are like very posable, etc.
They got some new flip heads too.
They did like new flip heads with armor, right? So
yeah, but the flip heads, it's funny because some people were like, am I crazy online? They were like, am I crazy? But do these flip heads, like the heads of the flip heads, look better than the heads of the Legacy line?
right.
And I was like, the Billy certainly does. I don't.
Yes.
Not that I hate them. I just am like,
That's weird. I wonder if it's because they're larger scale. Because if you remember back to the 2017 movie, they had flip heads.
they
for
were terrible.
Some Rangers, but it was like they were like
the suit wasn't
7
even correct.
inches?
Yeah, it
like
was weird.
7 inches roughly, because they were bigger than the normal figures.
Yeah.
But when you do the kind of like action thing, like they would flip over and it would. But that's about the scale that these seem like they are. So the head sculpts seem a little bit better, which you look at the Kimberly. I think they have Kimberly, Jason, and Billy.
Mm-hmm.
So no Zach or no Adam or no Trini or no Aisha or what have you. But yeah, the sculpts seem like they're better, but they also have like weird armor, which it reminds me of the Ninja Turtle like kung fu figures, where like you press the legs and they kind of like flip over, like, and they have ninja armor, and you're just like, you're already Ninja Turtles. Why do you have ninja armor? I digress.
Yeah, well, I mean, there was another big announcement was that we were getting our first Lightning Collection role play toy, which is a Dragon Dagger.
Okay, so I guess I will leave this up to you. I mean, do you have a Dragon Dagger at this point?
I mean, do you see it? Oh, you can't see it because it's laying down, but it's in that case with the Saba and the Blade Blaster.
Right? Is it a regular? Or
So those three in that case, for anybody who's listening, I have where we record this is in my loft, and they have all my toys in like glass
regular,
cases.
right?
That's the original series, but you see the boxes between the case. That's a Blade Blaster in the top box. That's Saba, and then that's the Dragon Dagger on the bottom because I have the boxes stocked. I don't have a place to display them yet. Yeah,
all right.
Yeah, so I have those. So I have the original and I have the legacy versions of those.
It's a good display.
I know.
I can see the barcodes.
Somebody 3D prints these really cool plaques that you can mount them on, and so when I'm getting ready to move in the near future, so I haven't like displayed them, but I'm gonna buy these plaques and like
the way
display
that you have them in that kind of crevice, you could see the tops of the box rather than the barcodes.
I don't want people to steal them. I don't want them to be like, "Oh, this is mine." All the friends I have
Power Ranger thieves.
Yeah, they're out there.
So, okay. I mean, I have a Dragon Dagger that I accidentally bought autographed by Jason David Frank.
Oh, what a happy accident.
I know, right? I was like, I'm buying this because it's cheap, but then the person was like, it's autographed. And I was like, they're like, I hope this doesn't dissuade
Was it a
you.
legacy one? Or?
Yes.
Oh.
I just had to replace the batteries. But it's great. I didn't have it when I was growing up. Like, I was definitely very poor. Didn't have any of the weapons when I was little.
Well, the Dragon Dagger, I think, was one of the best classic toys they made.
Yeah, play the music.
Because it was like the right size and everything. It was solid. You could really...
The thing I will say about the legacy version is it is a bit too big, right? So it seems like the Hasbro version is kind of closer in line with the right size. Also, like by changing the... Like you can actually play it like a flute. I mean... Not having any musical inclination, like I don't know how a flute plays, but like there's actual buttons you can press rather than just pressing one button and having like the dun, 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 dun.
Well, it's got the remix, the remix key to it.
So they were saying there's a remix version. You can have it play automatically. You can also press the buttons to have it play. So the lady on stage during the conference actually played the notes. And then it plays the music, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I think it plays the theme song.
Which the actual legacy one does as well. So there's a lot of features on this. The biggest thing which is kind of stupid, but the biggest thing that I saw, like the stand is really, really nice.
That's nice that it comes with a stand.
Yeah.
That's why my three are in a box. I don't have any way to display them really yet.
And it has like the helmet logo and like that lights up, but also the actual Lightning Collection dagger has light effects. So the thing about the different weapons or anything like Power Ranger based weapons, like when they're using them, like there's lightning effects and there's all these different light effects that happen when they're using the weapons, kind of like the lightning hitting off the armor. It's all that stuff. So it has some sort of like glow or light effects to it, which does not exist in the Legacy Collection.
Yeah, and I've heard feedback on the internet of like some people saying that from the photos and videos that we've seen of it, that some people think it looks cheaper than the Legacy Collection. I, honest to God, I think it's going to be lighter than the Legacy one, which weighs quite a bit. That's the only problem with the Legacy. They used a lot of metal pieces, which was great in theory, but
it's huge.
But also, like where you wanted it to be metal wasn't metal. It was still the flimsy plastic, so it was kind of a weird assembly thing. And the Legacy one is huge. This one looks like it's somewhere between original Dagger and Legacy Dagger, so it looks like it's appropriate size but light.
So I have the Legacy Dagger as well as Saba. It is very close in size to Saba, which Saba for the
Legacy
weight,
Dagger is, yeah.
So like for the weight of Saba and the size of Saba, Saba's perfect. Like to me, perfect, right? Like that's the one I would assume for like how they had it in the movie.
Well, and then I feel like the original toy of the Dragon Dagger was
very close.
No, I've always thought that is the right size, and I guess it's a little bit smaller than the.
I don't know, like
it's like how I feel about the Legacy Morpher. I felt like the Legacy Morpher was too big and too heavy because I guess I'm just so used to the 1993 toy that I didn't even have until like years later. But that one will always be my favorite. I like that one much better than the heavier one. I don't need it to play the theme song. That's stupid. I wanted it to just light up make the noise or make the morphing noise or something. But I don't need it to do all this extra stuff.
Weird lightning noise.
Yeah, and also the first generation of them didn't light up correctly, so it kind of sucks because I bought 2 right away, and I found out the later ones so when you hold the legacy one, only one of the 4 lights will light up if you're not holding it right. And the later ones, it was all 4 of the lights like light up, which is what you're supposed to do. So, well, I have the first one.
Mine's in storage. I can't check. So, I mean, like this, I guess
I get why they went with Legacy Dragon Dagger. That's the Green Ranger is like the moneymaker and stuff like that. I am still waiting for a freaking morpher. I have always collected morphers. That's been my thing, and I just want like if you were gonna do that, why not re-release a morpher?
So I guess like my notes end on more Power Morphicon and then morphers ? Because I know like you of all people is kind of like, are we going to get more morphers? Are we going to?
Well, I thought they did a great job with the helmet. It's crazy because the helmet is closer to the actual size of a helmet. The White Ranger Lightning Collection helmet that was released. The problem is I have a very large head, so it barely. I can't really get it closed on it. But I do acknowledge that the Green Ranger. I've worn the Red Ranger helmet with the cosplay I have, but the Green Ranger one is too big to wear for me. Like it's way too large. It looks ridiculous. It looks like. If you were from a small town and they're like the Power Rangers are here and someone paper machéed the giant helmet, it was like that. And the same with the movie version of the Legacy helmet. They were like too big.
That one looks very cheap.
Yeah, that one. Well, I did buy it for less too.
They're like silver.
They were like we didn't even paint it correctly either, so it doesn't have the black lines in it.
There's no like graphite. Like,
no, they were like nah. Well, it has the.
No one's gonna buy this.
But they're like, How about the power coins and everything too? But
you're a fool.
I just wanted to support it.
So like
we'll never get that. Though, none of that stuff will ever come back up.
No.
Even with Hasbro owning it all, it won't because it's not their movie. So they're like, no, why would we ever make that stuff?
No, we know. Like we're the 2 people who are like invested in that, being like, I wonder what they'll do next.
I need the movie to not be the movie they said they're making. That sounds stupid, but whatever.
So I have the red helmet and I the Legacy one, and then I bought also the white helmet. I don't know why we both bought, because I like while we were planning this, we also were communicating to one another like we didn't need to buy both of these things.
Oh, I will though.
I know we're both very stupid.
Well, I will buy anything that's a helmet. Well, the problem is I don't know why I'm buying the action figures. I have never been an action figure collector, but I enjoy that. I'm trying to support them. I am all about that role play. Like I want any sort of the weapons, morphers, communicator, any of that stuff. I will buy 1,000%. I won't even wait for the sale. I'm just buying it immediately.
So strange because like I'm the action figure person. Like
no, I want to be the Power Ranger. I don't want to play. I want to be the.
I'm like I want to play with.
You want to be the Overlord,
but like. I will buy action figures, but I will buy specific ones. Like you say you're not the action figure person. Sorry,
yeah, talking to that microphone.
No, I'm gonna do. You say you're not the action figure person, but yet you're just like I bought the entire wave, and I'm just like I bought 2.
I know, but I did actually. I don't. I've stopped buying the wave. I did buy all of Wave 5, but I still haven't bought any of the Wave 4 ones.
I sent you the link. I was like, this is what Wave 5 is gonna be like. I bought all of them.
Well, because I was literally like, I want all the Mighty Morphin ones, which is why I'm shocked I haven't bought the red one yet. But every single one I bought them, and now I went online and like they all went down to like $11, and I was like, I need to stop buying them at $20, especially if they're ones I can't not live without. Like if I think to myself I can't live without it, then I'm gonna buy it. And so like. Yep. I've always loved the Gold Ranger. The Red Time Force Ranger is one of my favorites. When I was a kid, Billy was my favorite, and then the Ranger Slayer. Like, how can I not get those 4? Boom, that's an automatic purchase.
So then we're at like,
and the Dagger is like,
but the Yellow Ranger is gone.
To get the Dagger. Well, yeah. The problem was that was on me though. I didn't think to order that.
I don't know how I got that one, and I was like, I ordered the Blaze figure and I ordered the Yellow Ranger. This is where we're at. But I think that's because I was like, Trini has always been like one of my tops.
I think the pre-order for that came out when I was like super sick. I think it was around that time in December.
That's unfortunate.
Where I was like, I can't think. I just was like so sick I couldn't do anything. And I remember thinking, like, did I miss something? And I think it was the pre-order for that.
I failed you at that point.
Yeah,
I guess.
And then there was just some other like stuff that came out. It was nothing too crazy. They did show some like the turtle suits for the Boom Studios.
So that's interesting because like the fact that it was a Toy Fair convention, the fact that they were kind of like emphasizing this is what we're doing with the comic books right now. Like I wonder what that will mean because, okay, so to give you some background, Playmates has had the Ninja Turtles license since the beginning of Ninja Turtles being like popular, right? Mm-hmm. So like the original animated series, like the reason why that got picked up was because Playmates had the toys. It wasn't until very recently that like say Mondo or NECA or anyone else got the Ninja Turtle license, but they can only sell it in like certain aspects, right? So like that's why you can only buy like certain Ninja Turtle figures at GameStop, or you can only find them at Target, but you have to buy them in 2-packs, things like that, right? So it's interesting that they're showing the comic book stuff, and if you're unfamiliar, the Ninja Turtle Power Ranger crossover that they're doing similar to what they did with the Justice League Power Ranger crossover last year, I believe.
Mm-hmm. I think it was 2 years ago.
So at this point, it's different than the In Space Power Ranger crossover that they did on TV. It is Mighty Morphin as well as the Ninja Turtles, and they kind of fight at this point, but there's also like, is the Green Ranger Shredder, and then is the Power Rangers, are the Ninja Turtles are getting Power Rangers like things, they get morphers. But they took the time on stage to show what the Ninja Turtles would look like as morphed, as well as showing what the normal Chirin Rangers would look like as ninjas that look different than their ninjetti costumes from the Power Rangers movie. So it's interesting that they took the time to show that on stage for a toy convention, if they're not planning to try to engage that in any respect. And considering the kind of like Playmates license where they have they have control over all of the certain scale at the general retail, I'm wondering if they're going to do something for collectors stuff, because Hasbro has a tendency to release things like this is exclusive to collector grade websites, or like exclusives or things like that. Like they did the Red Hulk, they announced it at Toy Fair, and it's available at Target as an exclusive. So they could potentially do something where this Ninja Turtle stuff in the Power Rangers thing is exclusive to a certain retailer, and it might fall outside of the thing that Playmates has control over.
I
that whole license is a nightmare.
It's yeah, I don't know.
And the thing is, Playmates makes pretty much garbage toys. So like they're geared, obviously like they're geared more towards children, but like they're also making substandard product for children. I remember the Playmates toys I had when I was little were substantially better.
Aren't they making Power Ranger toys?
No.
They're not making the Play School ones?
That's Play School.
Oh.
So Playmates has very limited license. Like their big moneymaker is Ninja Turtles at this point. Mm-hmm. So if you think back to when you were younger, the Ninja Turtles toys you had based on the cartoons and like kind of like all this other stuff, those were Playmates toys. Those were much better than the ones that you're getting now.
Yeah. This is not our Ninja Turtle podcast.
No, but I'm saying like this is kind of, it's very, very interesting that Hasbro took the time to mention Ninja Turtles like as part of their...
they took Ghostbusters.
Right. So it's me and Ryno are doing a lot of like nodding things and kind of like shrugging kind of knowingly, but like we don't know anything, but it's very interesting that they're kind of handling this in the way that they did for a Toy Fair convention. If they release it in a certain way, like Randy from NECA has kind of manhandled how he releases Ninja Turtle stuff. So like they're doing movie figures in a very specific way so they don't encroach on the license that Playmates has, whether it be like 1/4 scale or be it like in double packs or be like at a retailer exclusive like GameStop. They could probably do the same thing with the Power Rangers figures, and I would not be remiss to buy Ninja Turtle Power Ranger figures at all, let alone from a company that is better at doing figures than Playmates.
Yeah.
Like Hasbro release it, amazing. NECA release it, amazing. But, it's really interesting that they took the time to cover it.
Well, we'll have to do another episode about, obviously, about the comic books and stuff to come with that, too, because after the Toy Fair, we got... It's weird that they talked about Ninja Turtles there, but then, 2 days later, they announced there was this Time Force sequel comic coming, and I'm like, why didn't they talk about it then? But
do you like Time Force?
I actually do, yeah.
I was unaware.
I think that... I've heard that they've got the official PMC, and that's where I'm sure they're going to announce if they might not. We might know the name of the new series before then, but I think that's when they'll do the cast reveal, which they've done for the last three times, because PMC is every 2 years, so it's been falling on when the new show starts. But it'll be interesting to see, because at PMC in 2018 they announced the Lightning Collection. I'm wondering if they're saving an announcement for that.
Their announcement was interesting, because you and I were texting back and forth, they had boxes and being we're waiting till parts of the weekend to reveal this or to reveal this, and we thought for sure this will be Megazords, this will be this.
No, that wasn't at PMC.
What was that?
That was Comic-Con. Was it Comic-Con or was it New York Comic-Con?
I don't know. There were certain things where they had boxes.
It might have been San Diego.
You were sure they were going to be Megazords, and it was a helmet.
Yeah, the helmet was a shock to me, which I would love to see. If we're going on a year of a helmet, where's the other helmet? Give me one helmet a year. I mean, we get how many? 25 figures a year so far now? Something crazy like that?
Which is crazy. Yeah. How many figures did we get for the Legacy Collection, let alone...
Well, I feel we must be nearing the entirety of the Legacy Collection already, and just a year of them doing it. I wish I had kept this photo up, because I could have just counted how many figures.
And initially, in my notes, I was compare the Legacy to the Lightning, and I was there's no comparison. Lightning seems substantially better just with the you're getting alternate hands, you're getting alternate heads, you're getting effect parts. Effect parts is a thing.
We have
that's
30 figures that we know of right now in the Lightning Collection.
Versus how many of?
Well,
it's
if not, I don't even know if they got. I mean, I know there was a complete Mighty Morphin. See, I mean, I think maybe there was more than 30 Lightning Collection figures, but it is definitely more. It's definitely more rapid. It feels like it's happening? I think, because I think the Lightning Collection probably had 2 or 3 waves a year, and now
I feel like Hasbro got the license and they just ran.
We're on and also we have been having more. They'll be oh, these are the 4 figures for wave 5, and you're yeah, and then there's the 2-pack here and the 2-pack there and the thing there, and and it's so.
Also the helmet, and then do you like these exclusives? Yeah. We repainted this.
Just give me some more role play stuff. And I just want them to get into the artisanal Morpher collection. Just start with Mighty Morphin and then go forward if you have to.
With a Morpher, but I don't want some wine.
I don't want something to get hooked up because nobody buys a Turbo Morpher. I don't want, give me another Time Force Morpher. Give me another In Space Morpher. Give me.
I wonder how that'll work too, because
give me Dino Thunder
Hasbro is used to taking the gambit on these figures might not sell, but and they've done role play figure, or not figures,
a lot
but
more goes into, I think, the role play stuff than the action figures,
right? But they've done role play stuff before that might not be as successful. They've done the Ant-Man helmet, Iron Man helmet, the shield.
Well, it's interesting. The first helmet is the White Ranger helmet, and that was the first figure. So I don't know if there's going to be another I don't think they'll backtrack over the helmets the way they do. They're doing it with we're getting a Dragon Dagger. I don't think we'll then get a Green Ranger helmet.
Right.
I mean, I could be 100% wrong, but I think it would be kind of weird. I think we'd see a Gold Ranger helmet before we saw a Red Ranger or a Green Ranger helmet, just because those have definitely already been made.
I would buy a Gold Ranger helmet.
Maybe they just feel they're well, the next step after what Hasbro or what Bandai had already made logically would have been a White Ranger helmet. Why didn't they do the White Ranger helmet?
What if they give us a Blaze helmet?
No, I don't think so.
Just give us a Dark Ranger helmet.
Nah. I don't think they will. I think it's gonna be like classic. I think sadly we won't get Mighty Morphin Girl.
Like Blue Turbo.
It'll have to be somebody. Like, you know what I'm waiting for? The Titanium Ranger.
Ooh.
Where's that guy? Where's that figure?
Where's that?
Well, I think that's going to do it for this episode. I think that was New York Toy Fair 2020. We've still got Comic-Con, which I believe Hasbro will have a presence at. We've got PMC. So there's still a bunch of more things happening this year. So plenty more toy announcements to come to look forward to. So we will we'll keep you updated and talk about it more and more, because that's what we do here.
We like
talk
toys.
about it. We like toys. I like to collect things I probably don't need,
Let's
but
spend
they
money
make
on.
me happy. Well, thank you everybody out there for listening, and Ken for having this conversation.
Thank you.
And I think that'll do it for this episode. And we'll see you next time with another episode of Podcast Rangers.